beautiful Guyana, with wonderful people all over this country. She is a beautiful
Guyana will become the next Dubai, and we, the citizens of Guyana, are super excited to benefit from our homeland the same way the citizens of Dubai benefit from theirs.
This is what life is like for citizens from the Emirate of
Guyana will become the next Dubai.
Guyana, with wonderful people all over this country. She is a beautiful Guyana.
Welcome to Globespan 24/7 as we bring you our Monday night program here in Guyana, in New York, and around the world. We're here to bring you issues in the news, and tonight is a very special program as we talk to one of Guyana's great sons. Again, welcome. We want to thank our viewers for joining us. We want to thank Nohar Singh for making this platform available. And of course, for Ryan Gobin and Devin Bisu, who are technical specialists. This evening, we have no other than former Member of Parliament, attorney at law, and Ambassador to India, His Excellency, Mr. Charrandas Persaud. Excellency, welcome to the program tonight.
Thank you very much, my friend. And let me say a hearty good evening or good night to all the viewers. And I hope that tonight we can have a program that we will all enjoy.
And of course, my co-host, Dr. Rose. Dr. Rose, welcome.
Thank you, Charles, and welcome, His Excellency, the former High Commissioner to India.
Thank you very much, Dr. Rose. And I'm glad that I've managed to put this together because I know I promised to be on your program a long, long time ago. Tonight is tonight.
All right. Ambassador, you left India about a year ago, I believe. So what are you doing now?
No, December 2022.
Okay, so about 7 months, yeah. So what are you doing now?
Right now, I am doing selective law, if I can use the term. I am volunteering my services to a few people that I know who have run into some kind of trouble. I'm doing cases pro bono because I do not want to get back into the court as a full-time lawyer again.
According to the recent newspaper report, it says that you're still on the payroll of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Is that so?
You see, now that you've raised a question that I would like to address, our journalists, and particularly the ones at Stabrook News, I can only describe them as gutter journalists. And it's a term I will never apologize for because Anand Persaud wrote certain things that I don't know if he's even remotely responsible for what he writes. You cannot write what you feel when you talk to somebody else. You have to have facts. Now, question. I have my services. I read the article you talked about in Global Mail. In Stabrook News. I was never up to date. I have never been recalled. And yet, Stabrook News, I keep saying go. Stabrook News wrote that after I was recalled, disgraced Charrandas after he was recalled. The word recall was never used by His Excellency, Dr. Irfan Ali, President of Guyana. In his statement, and that's why I said the kind of journalism that we have, he should look at that, listen to the president's statement, and maybe have somebody tell him that the word recall was never used. I agree. And if he wants, I can explain that to him as an article he can write. I agreed to return to Guyana because I admitted that what I did was unbecoming of a person holding status of High Commissioner. You represent a country, you represent a government, you represent a people. You cannot use that type of language, you cannot behave like that publicly. It's that simple. Now, whether or not I was provoked whether or not I was probed into something is still something that I should not have done. And so I apologize to the people in a program publicly here in India, and I apologize when I was on Freddy's program. I again will apologize to the people and government of Guyana for what prompted me and what I said. Now, I am not going to say anything about that video, but many of you will realize that it was just 18 seconds of a video that was shown. What the lady did and what the lady said is never or cannot be displayed there because that was the initial part of the video, which are driving. So we will leave it at that, gentlemen, unless somebody wants to ask me further questions on that. But that was my reason for leaving India. I volunteered to terminate my service. And as of December 30th, I returned to Guyana and was no longer High Commissioner.
Okay, and I think what happened, that tape was hashed out publicly. I don't think there's need to go back to it. As you said, it's only about a few seconds. And what preempted, we don't know because it wasn't recording that tape and subsequently. But of course, as you write, and it's magnanimous of you, Ambassador, to apologize to the nation and to the lady in person, and of course to the people of India. Ambassador, just clear the air for us. So you're still employed by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, is that correct?
No, I'm not. I'm not. So again, Stabrook News need to get their facts straight.
Okay.
And then let me ask them in Stabrook News a question. Having been High Commissioner, let's just say my services were terminated for whatever reason. We're not going to go for the reason. Does that mean that I cannot work for the Ministry of Foreign Affairs? I cannot sign a contract with them? I cannot, as a lawyer, do a case for the ministry? Something is wrong with Stabrook News and their writings. What is wrong with me working for the ministry or doing any contract work for them? That's Stabrook News.
And again, I don't want to rehash what I just said. So you're telling our viewers now that you're not employed by the government of Guyana at this point in time.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
Ambassador, I know you went to India. Did you select India, or did the government decide that you should be posted there?
All right. I will tell you this much, and this is for the people. I was AFC. When I joined the AFC, I became a parliamentarian on the AFC platform, not the PPP and not APNU or PNC, AFC. My life, and I'm sure you gentlemen and many of the people listening will agree that it was a clear threat to my life made by Jennifer Wade, who's the Charrandas who died tonight. Now, I did not take that as an idle threat because I knew that my vote against the government would have brought the government down and put a lot of them out of job, as much as we did to the 30,000 cane cutters when we closed the 2 sugar estates. And so I asked President Ali, I said, I would like to come back to Guyana, but I'm afraid for my life. The night of December 21, 2018, I was prepared to die. I knew I would. And frankly, I had covered all the bases. And it didn't happen. So I got a lease of life. But after that, I did not want to die. I met my grandsons, and I still want to spend time with them. And so I said, look, I am afraid to come back to Guyana to practice law. But if you give me a High Commissioner's job, I would ask particularly be sent to India, because I was far away from these hooligans who threatened my life. And again, whether or not it was out of gratitude or whether or not it's concern for my life, and I'm guessing it's more the second one, because President Ali, as he was then, told me that, look, I will do what I can to make sure that you're safe. If India is what you want, I will make some arrangements. A little while after, a couple of months, so he called me and told me, you have been appointed High Commissioner to India. And that was gratifying, and it was a mental relief to me, because I knew that no matter who wants to threaten me in Ghana, you can't find me in India. So it was a request that was granted. I made the request and it was granted by the president and the government.
And I think, Ambassador, I think all Guyana, more specifically the Barbadians, know that you're a very professional attorney, and you practice law with dignity and with respect. In hindsight, do you think our ambassadors should come through the public service rank in terms of those diplomatic training? And it's a very unfair question in my view, because I know politicians do appoint, government appoint politicians in some cases to be ambassador. You think that is what should continue, or we should go through a process of training to be ambassador?
Gentlemen, let me make one quick and very small correction. We from Guyana who have been appointed head of mission are not ambassadors. We are high commissioners. Reason, we are from a Commonwealth country. And if you are from a Commonwealth country, you are high commissioner. That is why we have British and Canadian high commissioners, and we have US and Chinese ambassadors, because they're non-Commonwealth countries. So anybody who's appointed a head of mission in Guyana, from Guyana, to be high commissioner, whether you go to Sweden, Africa, wherever, you're high commissioner. Now, to answer your question, when we are appointed, many of my predecessor, what's his name? A man I asked to speak after I was appointed to discuss certain things that he may have started. And so I can follow up. He said he wouldn't talk to me because he didn't like the way I put it in no confidence. I forgot his name. My predecessor in India, it was most of us, or most of the heads of missions, whether you say it or not, are politically appointed people. There are some exceptions, and I can name one that I know so well. Our ambassador to China right now was consul officer in Canada. She is ambassador, but she has been through the ranks, and I'll tell you safely, she does a fantastic job, and she is not a political appointee. She doesn't care who's president. She will work as she has been working in the interest of Guyana, Guyanese.
Yeah, I know that, but I'm saying, before Dr. Rose come on, in your view, you think we should have, and I know we asked Mr. Rohi the same question. He said there are political appointments, which is normal in all countries. Even here in the US, some of the ambassadors are political appointees.
Well, my friend from Colombia was recalled after the government changed just recently.
Okay. All right, Dr. Rose?
Yes, His Excellency, Honorable Mr. Charrandas, you became a member of the AFC somewhere between 2010, 2011, 2012. But before that, were you a member of any political party in Guyana?
No, sir. No, sir. I was never a member of any political party. I didn't think I wanted to get into the political arena at that level anyway.
So what prompted you to become a member of the AFC?
That's a good question. I'll tell you, and I'll be very honest and upfront. At that time, I did not like what was going on in government. And it was the PPP government that was in power, and I did not like what they were doing. A couple of things that didn't seem right to me. It could have been described as F&F, friends, family, favorite. Not too many people outside of the PPP were facilitated with, and say, jobs that you want, or contracts. And that worried me. It worried me to a point where I concluded a long time ago, you can be PNC, you can be PPP when you're campaigning, but after you get control and you become government, you are government of the whole country. True. All PPP, all PS, UF, whatever other party people belong, are now under your jurisdiction. You are there to serve the nation, not just your supporters. And when politicians get in the power to do that, it angers me. And that is my reason for opposing, or I should say opposing, for voting against the coalition. We can talk about it a little later.
Now, you became a member of parliament. From what I was made to understand, is that it was offered to Dr. Amaya, and Dr. Amaya refused, and he recommended you.
Yes.
Now, when you became a member of parliament, what was the relationship like among APNU members?
You know what? First of all, to become a member of parliament, what many people don't know, I told Kamraj Ramjatan, then the leader of the AFC, I said, look, I can't sit in parliament because I hold a Canadian passport. I hold dual citizenship. And his exact word, now worry with the Arabs. And it was done. So I stayed. And then I also found out that there were other members of parliament who held dual citizenship. And that, of course, came out later on. But I took the position because Dr. Ramaya was hoping to become Minister of Agriculture. That never happened. They made Noel Holder, a name I did not know before joining the AFC, while campaigning for the AFC. I found out later on he was the husband of the late, great Sheila Holder. So they gave him that position. This man never came out to campaign as Minister of Agriculture. I don't know if he ever went into a field. So that was an issue then. But Dr. Ramaya was very disappointed, and so was I.
Okay. Now, as an MP, did you ever meet with President Granger?
Oh, several times. He went up to Berbice when he had a aqua celebration at State House. I took a group there and we sang. He said, I knew you as a parliamentarian, didn't know you were a singer. So we had quite an excellent rapport. There was a function celebrating his birthday held in the quarters, and he introduced to some of his relatives. And we had a wonderful exchange. The man was respectful in a number of ways.
Okay. Now, when the government decided to close those 4 sugar estates, were you part of a committee to have a say in it? Was Mr. Ramjatan part of a committee? Was Mr. Nagamutu part of a committee to have a say whether it should be closed or not closed?
All right, I'll tell you what people don't know. With the coalition government, junior ministers and backbenchers were non-ministers, were not members of cabinet. To close the sugar estates, the Rosal estate and the
Wales
estate. To close the 2 sugar estates, it was a cabinet decision, not a parliamentary decision. So it was never put to the vote in parliament, even after no suggestion of a debate in relation to the closure of the estates was put over. It was a cabinet decision taken, and bam, estates were closed. But as a government member of parliament, I felt that I was also responsible because it was the government that closed the sugar estates. And that to me was a disappointment to the people and to the promises we made. And I'm saying we, Nagamutu, Ramjatan, myself campaigning for peace and other parts of the country. We made all kinds of promises in relation to sugar and the price of sugar. Yet, when we came out, within a short while, we closed 2 sugar estates and put 30,000 sugar workers out of jobs, assuming 4 members per family, that would be 120,000 people on the red line. In a country with a population of 750,000, that is big.
And did you ever try to seek a meeting with any member of the cabinet, President Granger?
Rose,
yeah.
Myself, my then colleague Rajkumar from Essequibo, Michael Carrington, and Odwin Rutherford, the four backbenchers. We talked about this. We approached Nagamutu and said, look, the things that are happening in Parliament, we are saying yes to everything that the coalition presented. And I didn't think that that was our purpose. Forming a coalition, it was APNU/AFC. We still retained our name. So I thought we still had some say in certain things. Yet, we were, and it was described nicely as a rubber stamp. We were all yes men in Parliament. What is ironic about that? We were made yes men. And when I said yes, everybody's angry with me. That's the part that I can't understand.
So you're telling our audience that AFC were not part of the decision making per se to any large extent, but were told that you have to vote to support whatever decision made by the cabinet, more so APNU ministers.
No, Dr. Rose, no, that's not what I'm saying. Cabinet members would be all the AFC members who were ministers, and only four of us were not. Rutherford, Rajkumar, Michael Carrington, and myself. And the cabinet decision was taken with Nagamutu and Ramjitan and Trotman and all of them being there. Only just the four of us were not there.
I want you to clear the air on something. Just before the no confidence vote was taken, you criticized the PP in the budget.
Yes, I did.
Was that a real criticism, or that was a show of a criticism? How long
My
you...
budget presentation was real. There was no issue at all in relation to what I said in my budget presentation. That, however, did not change my intention to remove the AFC from this.
How long you knew you were going to vote against the government?
After they closed the sugar estate, I thought that it was wrong. I live half a mile from the Rosal estate. And the boys, instead of most of them, knew me from being in Bordeaux, living and mixing and mingling with them. And they would even curse me, throw beer bottles in my yard, on my balcony, and in my bottom house. Knowing them didn't mean a thing. I couldn't do it because I knew that I was part of a team that hurt them bad by putting them on red. And so I figured I had to do something about it. It was not automatic though. I had to wait, see what I could have done. On my own, individually, I saw nothing that I could have done to stop these people. And I received encouragement when a vote no confidence was tabled by then opposition leader Dr. Parliamentary Jagdeo on the 16th of November, I think it was 2018, after the local government election and the sizable victory. I saw that at that time, Dr. Rose, that would have been the time that I saw an opportunity to strike these losers who closed the sugar estates, particularly the AFC team that embarrassed everybody and disappointed everybody.
It was rumored that you were contacted by someone from the PP before. Whoever that person is, I don't know. Is there any truth to that?
To say contacted as in relation to voting in the no confidence?
To support them in the no confidence motion, the PP.
Nobody asked me to, and I can put that on the life of my mother, my dear dead mother. Nobody asked me to do that. That I decided on my own.
So what Vice President Jagdeo said? What Vice President Jagdeo said is true there, and he said that he was surprised to know that you, of all persons, voted against your own party.
I'll tell you that, and I'll refer to him as a gentleman because he deserves some respect. Dr. Parliamentary Jagdeo, I don't know if he ever even said a hello to me during my stint in Parliament, up to and until months after the conflict. He did not speak to me. Sometimes I would say, Jagde when he couldn't even answer. But I had exchanges with Sanjeev, not Sanjeev, sorry, Anil. We would talk. Then as he was Irfan, opposition member, Priya Manikchan, we would talk.
So what I'm saying is that what Vice President Barjagir said, he was surprised. He did not know that you were going to vote with the opposition.
I did not tell him. So that's something.
Okay. So he was correct.
I'll tell you, I was fully aware, as I am now, of the system that our parliament works by. Had I shown my hand as a card player, I would have been removed from parliament. And many people are wondering why Walter Lawrence stood up and stupidly asked for 2 minutes timeout during the vote. The vote was not even complete. She asked for 2 minutes timeout. And they're sitting arms reach in front of me, and Padas is suggesting that they can go and speak to Dr. Rose. Sorry, Dr.
The speaker.
The head of our list was Chancellor University. Anyways, to speak to this gentleman who's in charge of the list and have you removed the list.
Oh, Dr. Lachman.
Minutes timeout.
That was Dr.
So
Lachman.
if my intention, as it was then, was made known, I would not have been allowed to sit in parliament for that no confidence.
Okay, that's
so that was a secret I kept from my brother-in-law, who usually drive me to parliament, my sister, and my entire family. Nobody knew what to do that night except Peter Armstrong.
You told Peter.
I asked him for help to get out. After having done, I said, what I'm about to do will result in me being killed. If you can help me get out of parliament, I would be happy. And I knew that he has excellent U.S. military banks. So I depended on him, and I've known him for years.
Okay. My final question before my colleague Charles comes on. Why do you think the government closed the sugar estates? If you have any reason, 1 or 2 reasons, why do you think so?
To me, it's simple. I'll give you 2 reasons, Dr. Rowe. No economics was done or put into the closure of the sugar estate. And I'll tell you why I say that. If you were producing sugar at 30 cents a pound and you're selling it because of poor market at 15 cents a pound, you lose half the money. But what else do you get by keeping these sugar workers employed? They will pay taxes. Anything that they buy that has VAT, they will pay VAT. Their family will be purchasing. They will get spending in other areas that will result in government getting back some money. So at best, if you produce 30 cents a pound and you sell for 15, based on the other take that you will get taxes and other things, you hardly could have lost maybe $5 a pound. If you and this is rough figures. That is one reason why I said there's no need to close the sugar estate. But they did, because they did not do any study. You put the people on the pedal without an alternative. Let's not forget that severance pay was paid to the workers after a court fight. And the court ordered guys to pay them their severance. Why do you do that to people? Because they did not vote for the PNC, or APNU as it was. That's the other reason. And it was clear.
Charles?
Ambassador, yes. Your information tonight is revealing, but you're part of the coalition, and
yes.
I'm shocked to find out why would they want to close the sugar estate in knowing an election's coming up and you need the votes from some of the sugar workers would have voted for them anyway. But why they closed it? Was there a discussion well, you're not in cabinet, but within the coalition, member of parliament and so on, let's put this thing off, let's wait until after the election. I mean, there's strategies that parties make that boost them, not crumble them, and what the decision they made cripple them. It doesn't make sense to me, but that is what happened.
let me say something now that a lot of people don't know. Moses Nagamutu was instrumental in the closure of the sugar estates. And he did not do it to spite the people who did not vote for the AFC or the APNU. He did it to spite Bara Jagdeo. Because every time this man talks of Bara Jagdeo, anytime he spoke of Bara Jagdeo, look who turned president. Chetty wanted me to be president. He was obsessed with the idea that he felt he should have been president, and Parajagyo became president. And so this man did and said any and everything, including yes to everything in parliament, so he became a rubber stamp, just to spite Parajagyo. That was the reason, main reason.
To spite them. And I think they shoot themselves in the foot. But
They did. Or we did, I should say.
you think, Mr. Ambassador, if the PBP member of parliament, I know they had the no confidence during the President Ramutar term of office, but that never happened because the pro-parliament and they call election. But if this was done by the PBP member of parliament, you think Jagdeo would have allowed that person to remain in parliament?
You know what? Let me tell you quickly what might be missed here. It was about 2.5 years of President Donald Ramutar's reign that Nagamutu on the opposition side moved to no confidence. What people don't understand, Parliament was not sitting for 3 years. And so normally you'd have to have a seat in Parliament for 3 years before you can get pension. So by then President
You're muted, Ambassador. Your microphone is muted. Yeah.
Is it on again?
Yeah, go on.
Yes, you're on.
Yes. I was saying, then President Ramutar, after the no confidence was tabled, it was only 2.5 years of his presidency. He prorogued Parliament for 6 months to give them 3 years so they could all qualify for pension. And then he dissolved Parliament. But there was no fight. There was no opposing the no confidence as we did as a coalition. 33 is not bigger than 32 in which world? And strange, 2 of our Court of Appeal judges so ruled. And they're still sitting as judges and nobody wants to tell them to resign. And they don't want to resign of their own. That is stupidity to make such a ruling. 34 is bigger than 33, but 33 is not bigger than 32. No, so then President Ramutar did not oppose it. After he prorogued Parliament, he then dissolved Parliament and set a date for election. Cut his term short by the tabling the confidence. That was decent.
So you became member of parliament representing Region 6, right? When the AFC won that seat, well, the coalition. When they were you're getting dissatisfied, did you ever consider resigning in parliament in protest?
You know what? We hope, and I'm saying we, the 4 of us, hope that we could have a talk to sort out, to discuss, like to vote and pass the Hamilton Green, Prime Minister Hamilton Green's pension bill, to pass something called the Juvenile Justice Bill, where if you're 14 and under, you're not going to be criminally liable. England is 10 or neighboring Trinidad is 12. Why do we have to go to 14? Some 14-year-olds are mothers and fathers in this country. Now, we passed those bills. When we talk about having a caucus among our AFC team, to Moses Nagamutu and Ramjatan, they said, no, look, you just vote. And vote when we vote. And they're sitting at the end and we're in front, we have to vote. That was the kind of discussion we had on issues raised in Parliament that we did not quite agree. Never a discussion.
When you voted against the coalition, there were reports that other backbenchers in the AFC had wanted to do exactly what you did. Is there any truth to that?
Here now, the people would know this. I was third on the line. If there was anybody else after me, what stopped them from voting and so voting?
So that's a false rumor then.
Well, I don't know that there was anybody else. I'll tell you, my part in all of this was never discussed with anybody in Parliament at all, at all.
So then they also did not discuss with you
wouldn't know if
how
there
they will
was
vote.
anybody else.
Okay.
All I'm
Okay.
asking is, if there was anybody else, how come they didn't come out after I voted?
I got you. Okay. Ambassador, in your stint in, what are some of the accomplishments that you can tell our viewers? I know it's a short stint, but what are some of the accomplishments as High Commissioner to India?
Well, in the words of a very good friend and present Minister of Natural Resources, I am a very proactive High Commissioner. Those were the words of Minister Vikram Bharat. Reason, when I went to India, what was strange, a lot of the billionaires in India still have, as they had then, investments in Africa. And almost every 2-3 months, you have some civil war in one of the states, and they were worried about their investment. What was surprising to me, after I had a meeting with a group of business people, different areas of business, they did not even know that Guyana, many of them, I should say, not all, many of them did not know that Guyana is a country in South America. They thought we were in Africa somewhere. Then they did not know that the oil find, third largest oil find in the world. So they were surprised. And then, having been in India, where oil is such a big necessity and such big business comes out of oil, many of them were aware that the potential in Guyana now is phenomenal. And so that was a surprising thing to me, that these big business people did not know Guyana and know that Guyana was so rich. And this was well into 2021 when I got there. And remember, the government took over in 2020 August. And so you'd expect that things would have been made known, the oil find and all of that, but it didn't happen. And so I spoke to the Tata Group very quickly. Ratan Tata was described by Forbes as the richest man in the world, or could have been the richest man in the world, if he did not, and if he did not continue to give 60% of his net earnings to charity. So what I did was, I had a meeting with the Tata Group. There were 4 heads of the various departments that had a meeting in India. It took 4 months to make such a move and to have that meeting. They agreed that they will speak to our government and see what contribution they can make to Guyana. And I'll tell you this, the Tata Group is not going to come to Guyana to invest, make money. But when they found out also that we were about 50% East Indians, we were about 60 earlier, but migration is taking its toll, they were surprised. And then I went on to explain the indentureship for the 5 countries of Fiji, Mauritius, Trinidad, Guyana, and Suriname. And so they understood more now, while so many Indians were in Guyana, they didn't know that. Because Guyana was a no name. Up to and until 2020, it's safe to say that. Nobody knew anything and had no interest in Guyana. Now with the oil, you can see Guyana is hustling. But that was one of the things that I did. That meeting was coordinated by my friend Peter Ramsey, the CEO from Go Invest. And there was a Zoom meeting with heads of Tata. I think 8 or 10 of them presented their portfolio. And Peter Ramsey then spoke on the Guyanese side with a couple of people who were sitting there. And so I initiated that meeting. And I left it in the Peter Ram's group and the government of Guyana to take it. Another person or group of business people that I spoke were very interested in setting up a gold refinery. Minister Victor again had personal discussion with them. They came to Guyana. That is probably going to happen sometime soon. The Ashoka Bilkan, the group that is doing the road now, from the Ogle to Mocha Road, what business people that I spoke to, the Sapanji Palanji people who built our stadium, were also a group of business people that I spoke to in relation to investment in land. And I don't know that many people may not know this. The Ogle to Mocha Road was funded, should have been funded, I should say, by the Exim Bank in India. One of the conditions, it has to be an Indian company. So 3 companies made the bid to have the contract to construct that road. It was given to the Ashoka Bilkan, and they are currently working the road. And many of you will see. I'll tell you something about that also in another minute. The Sapunji Palanji people, they're still very interested in doing work in Guyana. And so the road that we are having there will be a super highway. Reason, it is partially funded now by the Guyana government and the Exim Bank in India, because the engineers estimate in Guyana was 48 million US dollars, and the lowest bid that we got and finally approved was 106 million US, because again, our engineers did not probably come up with the right amount of money to do the road. But that's what's happening right now. The reason I'm saying it's going to be a super highway is that company called the Rights, RITES, the Rights Group. They have 3 people from the Rights Group supervising the construction of that road. We did not have that with Cherry Street or the main road highway from Foxton to Cherry Street going to the East Coast there. And that is why you have water lodging on both sides of these roads. I'll tell you, you will not have that with this road that is being built by the Ashoka Bilkan Group, because the rights people are there to, literally they're the quality control inspectors appointed by the Exim Bank. They're paid to come and supervise the construction of this road. So that type of business arrangement, and I've had serious exposure to other people, other business people.
Excellent history there. But have you spoken to the Ambani group?
I tried to meet with them, but they had some trouble. I don't know if I can say this, but they had some trouble with their port at one time, and so I couldn't get a meeting with the Ambani group. Sorry, not the Ambani, the Adani.
Adani, yeah,
no,
Adani.
I tried to meet with Mukesh Ambani, but he wasn't well, and he went to England for treatment. And I was told that when he returned, I would have had a meeting with him. But over time, things did not quite work out for both him and myself, because he was not very well.
I think, Mr. Ambassador, I think all Guyanese should be proud of you. I mean, I'm sure you regret what happened with that stint with that lady, but other than that, because there are ambassadors who were before you. I know Ronald Gantraj was there and many other ambassadors. And when you're telling us that they did not sell Guyana to the business community, and the business community didn't know that Guyana had a large percentage of people of Indian origin and so on, and even the Indian High Commissioner to Guyana didn't tell their business people in India that Guyana is opportunity. It baffles me that didn't happen.
Well, I went there in 2021 March, and remember, oil fine became public in 2020 after this present government took office. Yeah. So it was very little time for even my good friend and colleague, Dr. Srinivasa, to pass that information on. But I had meetings when Minister Todd visited. He had the opportunity at a dinner that I hosted in my residence to meet with a lot of the business people and other heads of missions in various countries, Colombia, the South American countries, Argentina, and a lot of these gentlemen were there, or ladies and gentlemen actually, Peru and all of them. So we had a wonderful meeting then. And the same with Minister Edgil when he went to commission the ferry that is now in Guyana. He went there, we hosted a dinner, and again, he met a lot of the business people. So I did all these things because for me, I was serving Guyana. And I think honestly, except for the unfortunate situation with Dr. Sonia Ghosh, who came right up to my door. You cannot go into the home of any high commissioner or pastor. She came right up to my door. And so that exchange did not, well.
Yeah, I know it's regrettable, but since you left India, has there been an ambassador, a high commissioner to India from Guyana?
No, they have not appointed anybody. My good friend and brother, says Kaulisar, was looked at, but he has been not well for a while. And so we're hoping that his health would permit him later on to take on the position. But the acting person there is Ms. Ronalda Horatio, who was a career diplomat, came from head office, and she was there as first secretary while I was there. She's now running the mission. And you know what? She's doing a good job. She is.
How big is our mission in India?
We only, when I was there, we had 1, 2, and myself 3, and the accountant as 4 Guyanese. And we're a total of 11 people, locals and drivers, and the 4 diplomats.
Okay, Dr. Rose asked you a question about entering the politics, and of course, your first big jump into politics was in the AFC. Mm-hmm. What are your plans for 2025?
I said it to a friend just today. I want to enjoy retirement. There's only one problem. I don't have enough money to enjoy retirement. And so I will have to still do some work as a lawyer. And I am taking on a few cases, but not as a full-time lawyer. I'm selective now, very selective in the cases that I spoke to a gentleman yesterday from Porica, who's a big businessman. He said he would like to have letters sent to people who owe him money. And we're talking millions of Guyana dollars. So I will meet with him on Tuesday and work out that and arrange. I'm doing selective practicing now as a lawyer.
Do you still feel unsafe being Guyana?
You know what? No. And I'm saying no boldly. Because the Jennifer Wade threat was out of anger. I spoke to Figueroa the other day, and most of you might have seen Figueroa when he swung his hand and hit me, and he constantly kept nodding me and swearing at me. But again, that was an emotional moment for a lot of them, because look at how many of them are now out of jobs. So I did not look to press charges against Figueroa or anybody for that matter. It's done in the heat of the moment, and I take it as that. Now I'm here, and I went to Parliament one day. I will go again on Wednesday. So Charrandas Duncan and another PNC member, I walked into the washroom, and the 2 of them came in, and Annette Ferguson closed the door. I said, "Why you closed the door?" Before she closed the door, she stood by the door. When I came out, she was still there. The 2 of them came in, and honestly, I know Charrandas Duncan. I was afraid to unzip my pants, and so I came out after shouting at him, and I pushed the door open, and I almost toppled Annette Ferguson down. But that was all that happened. And I'm not going to worry about Charrandas Duncan or the likes of Ganesh Mahipal. Ganesh Mahipal, who stole Student Society money when he was the president. Why would I worry about him?
Would you be on the campaign trail for the PNC or the AFC or the PPP in 2025?
You know what, Dr. Rose? I have not decided on that yet, but I am thinking that I could literally weigh the scale or tilt the scale one way or the other. But until now, as of now, I have not made a decision to get into the political arena.
Dr. Rose?
Let me just ask you that question, but Charles just asked you. Or is there tilt the scale one way or the other, what it means?
I'll say this very boldly. If I campaign for any party, I know that I will get a few votes. And the few votes, right now the PPP is sitting on a probably of a little close to 4,000 majority only. And so I think I can garner enough to make the difference.
Well,
One
just
way or
correct.
the other.
The PP has a 6,320 votes majority. Now,
Sorry?
the PP has a majority of 6,320 votes. I just want to correct that. Now, let me ask you the question. You became the High Commissioner for India. You had no diplomatic or foreign policy experience before.
None at all.
How did you prepare yourself? Can you tell our audience how you prepare yourself from a politician going into becoming a diplomat?
Well, you remember I mentioned earlier, I tried to speak to my predecessor to find out what he may have started and whether or not it would be something that I would piggyback on and continue. What's his name? Pollard. Pollard was my predecessor. But Pollard hated me. He did not just dislike me. He hated me. So he didn't give me any feedback. What I did, as I said earlier, I knew I was sent there. I was going to serve the nation. To prepare myself was an easy thing. I spoke to diplomats who were there, like my colleague from Trinidad, Fiji, Dominican Republic, and a lot of these guys. I met the Nigerian ambassador. It was extremely pleasant. They talk to you of things, and they tell you what to expect, and how you must treat people, and all these. A lot of details was given to me on the job. And I had with me a lady who is still with Foreign Affairs, Miss Esther Gittens. I have to tell you, I salute that girl. She was one of the best that Guyana may have sent outside. And I'm still hoping that whether she be PNC or PPP or AFC or whatever, she served Guyana well when she was there at the mission as my deputy. And if they choose to send somebody, if my friend says Kaulis, I can't make it, Esther Gittens would do a fantastic job.
Okay, thanks. Now, my colleague Charles spoke about the economic aspect of your relationship, how you encourage companies and so forth. But what about the diplomatic relationship? Did you make any attempt to strengthen, improve that Guyana-India relationship in the diplomatic areas?
I will tell you something that surfaced just the other day. The Minister of Energy in India. India is so different from us in Guyana, and I'm only going to say Guyana. You don't get to meet and speak to ministers easily. The Minister of Energy sent an invitation to ask me to have a meeting with him. I gladly accepted it. His offer to me then was, Excellency, we understand that Guyana has oil, and we had a discussion on how much and all of that. And he said, we are interested in buying all your oil. We will pay market price, but we want a 20 to 25-year contract to constantly buy your oil. That was given to me sometime in September, October last year, before I left India. I forwarded that discussion to my boss, then for our Foreign Affairs Minister, Hugh Todd, and Minister of Natural Resources. Recently, Vice President came back with an agreement of some sort. I don't know if it's an agreement, but that offer was brought back to Guyana. So I guess they're acting on it. In addition to that, it was the outside of energy. I had other meetings with diplomats. My friend from Colombia. Colombia has a refinery. Ecopetrol is the refinery in Colombia. I spoke to her and I described in our oil situation. And we had a chat with the executives of Ecopetrol, and I was told the offer was simple: we will buy all your crude, or we will refine your crude and then buy your refined oil. This was an offer from Ecopetrol Colombia. So, it was easy to have these discussions because once it's known, and at every function, we had a Republic celebration, we had an Independence celebration, we did a Diwali celebration in India as a Guyanese, and I would mention our rich oil source. And so a lot of people over time got to know about Guyana and the oil find, or the rich oil that we.
Let me go back to politics.
Yes.
Your former party, the AFC, joined the coalition. Did you have any say in that?
Yes, I did. Dr. Ramaya was one person who did not agree to the coalition. He walked out of that meeting, but it would not have made a difference. I went out and I spoke to Dr. Ramaya and said, look, if we want to get in the government, individually as AFC, we can't do it. And I don't think that the APNU can do it on their own. But as a coalition, we can combine our efforts and become government. Sure enough, we did, and we became government. And I said earlier, what I did not know was that we, the AFC, would have been swallowed up and become yes men to the APNU people. That I did not. And Ramaya never stopped pursuing me for that.
But you all are still friends.
We're very good friends. Not only friends can pursue. And
the other question I want to ask you is this. So now that the AFC has walked out of the coalition, it's become an independent party again. What are your thoughts?
I honestly, Dr. Rose, I don't know that they have walked out. Have they?
Yes.
They're still sitting as members of parliament.
They're still members of parliament, but outside of that, they're independent. That's what they say.
Okay. All right. Well, I can say I wish them well, but it wouldn't make a difference. They're not even getting a seat at the next election. AFC self-destructed. And if men like Nagabutu and Ramjatan and Trotman and Patterson still stay with the AFC and go to campaign, I don't know who will listen to them. These are men who have embarrassed themselves and the AFC. Trotman had a destination wedding when he was Minister of Natural Resources. I guess we don't want to know who funded that wedding. Patterson is still looking at the bangle and not thinking that. And then Ramjatan and Nagaputu, I don't know who will listen to those jobs.
Okay. Now,
so my take on that is the AFC will not even see a seat in Parliament on their own.
Okay. Now, the elections were held in 2020. Did you expect the AFC, the coalition, to lose?
Well, yes. Yes, but I was surprised, and I'm still trying to put this together. How come they only got a one-seat majority even after the election and the no confidence fiasco and all that transpired in the no confidence? So again, that is something that the PPP right now needs to look at seriously. After all the no confidence fiasco, they came out with a one-seat majority.
Now, I want to throw something out to you, and this for all the two major parties to think about. I know the answer, but I'm not going to say the answer. In 2011, the AFC, with the coalition APNU, had a one seat more than the PP in Parliament, so they became a majority in Parliament. But the PP had more votes, so the PP maintained the governance.
Yes.
But a minority government. That was in 2011. In 2015, APNU won by one seat with the AFC there.
Yes.
In 2020, the PP won by 1 seat. What do you think are the reasons for that?
I hope that the politicians are paying attention to that. If not, I hope they're listening to this program. Gone are the days as you get into serious rigging, like it was tried. But we're not going to get into that part of it. But gone are the days of landslide. You know why? People like my parents are long gone. And my father probably would have slaughtered me if he had known, if he was alive to see me campaign against the PPP, joining another party and not the PPP. That's how PPP die hard my parents were. And those people have long gone. The youngsters that we're looking at now, they don't have party affiliation. They will judge you on merit and on performance. And I am saying this because this is how I see things. And I've spoken to a lot of young people. No, man, we don't, we didn't like this and we didn't like that. And we don't like this and we don't like that, even presently. So the youngsters will make the difference. And from 2020, Dr. Rhodes, from 2020 to 2025, any 13, 14, and 15-year-old who are high school students should be paid attention to and should be treated like golden children, because they will decide who runs the government in 2025. They will all be voting age 2025. And they're not, the kids are now, like when I was privileged to speak to the medical school student here in Ghana, a Lincoln American University student. And I was a little worried. I had to speak at a university in India. I was very worried because when you go now and students ask you questions, they don't ask questions to no answer. They ask you questions they already have answers to, and they want to hear what you're going to say and how relevant your answer may be to the question and to actually what is happening in relation to the question asked. So we have to be very careful with the youngsters now. They are well informed. They know a lot more than we think they know, and we should not take them for granted. Doing that could be detrimental to whichever party is doing it. That's all I will say.
Now, okay, but let me just say this. Political science at one time was an art, but now it's become an art and a science. And the reason why the parties are just having a one-party, one-seat lead, it's more than what the eye can see. But since I was not asked my opinion from any parties for the reason, I hope the politicians know the reason. But the polls will show again that going into 2025, we might have the same thing. But let me ask you a question. What do you think of President Ali's One Guyana initiative or vision?
So sorry, his
One
Guyana
Guyana vision. Yeah.
You know what? I'll tell you something about President Ali. When he was housing minister, he was not even known, even as a minister. And I happened to have had the opportunity to listen to him speak just last Saturday at the funeral of Paul Chung's late mother in Canal. And he said something that is so true. He said he has reached a stage where he will tolerate now and mix and mingle now when he never did before certain things and mix with people, because he has reached a stage where he realizes now that he's not just this ordinary person out there. He is serving a nation, and he must be able to serve the nation well. That to me was humility. It was well put over. And when he said that, I honestly tell anybody, as I did before the election, that this young man, he knows financing. He knows what he's about. And when I said that during the election campaign and all of that, people were worried. Friends of mine, Florida and other parts of the country, of Guyana and countries, asked me if I think that, man, if I'm going to be a good president. I said, look, he knows what he has to do. And I am telling you that he is going to be capable and quite a good president. Now he goes in rice fields during flood time with our boots and coat to meet and mix and mingle and talk to people and pacify people. And we had a lot of other areas. And then recently this upsetting scenario in India. You know, he is there. And he's more a people person now, like way, way, way more than he was Minister of Health. And he's now the president. So again, I will tell you that I like him, and a lot of people like him. A lot of people have changed their views about this present president, the view that they had before he became president.
That is true. He has become a people's person. That is known.
Yeah.
Now, my question to you: what do you think of the opposition as we speak, under the leadership of?
Again, I am not picking a fight with anybody, but I will say a simple thing. If you listen to President, as he was then Granger, during his campaign, before he became president, he was never. If you listen to Vice President Jagdev and President Ali, they're never abusive. They will not abuse anybody publicly, that is, I should say, because I don't know their private life much, but publicly. We have already listened to the new leader of the PNC, or APNU, calling people hypocrite, and he goes on and on like a lunatic. Now, you cannot want to lead a nation and start abusing people who could very well be your colleagues later on, or a minister under you. You know, it's bad. It's very bad. To me, he's unfit to be a leader. If you want a recommendation from me, there's a man that I salute as a lawyer. We had an exchange in court over the action I filed against Ramsey. Royce Ford. Royce Ford, to me, will hold the command of the people and the PNC a lot better than this gentleman is doing. That's my recommendation.
Charles?
What about Ms. Desir?
Sorry?
What about Ms. Amanda Desir? Is she competent like Mr. Ford to take the reign of the PNC?
I don't know much about her, you know, but like I said, my experience with Royce Ford, senior counsel, I will put him above anybody else that I know. And I know plenty of the PNC people.
Okay, I'm glad you mentioned your walkabout in Guyana and meeting a lot of the young voters who will vote in 2025. Did they tell you what direction they're heading into? I mean, you want to disclose that? I mean, what they like what's happening, what they don't like what's happening? What have they discussed with you?
You know, gentlemen, I will say this. The oil boom, this glitter and glamour, the question I would like to ask, and that would be more or less for the government also. How does the ordinary school teacher, public servant, shopkeeper benefit from this? Cost of living is way past what the increase in salary would cover. Infrastructure is there. Yes, you see a lot of roads going up all over the place. Other buildings, a lot of it is private, but the roads and the highways that we are getting now would make certain access the areas a lot easier. But again, how does it put an extra dollar in the pocket of the ordinary man? And so that is a consideration. It's a serious consideration. But the big but in all of that is it will take time. And it has only been now 3 years since this government is over and since they started harvesting oil money and spending oil money. And we have seen a lot going into particularly infrastructure and even education. I don't know how many people know that the online scholarship, which is about 5,000 from the state university and another 1,100 or so or more from the Indira Gandhi University. These are online scholarship. It is not that the Indian universities are giving it to us free. The Guyana government has paid for it, and that is passed now relayed on to the students in Guyana. And no barrier, students of all races, all political party or practices, beliefs are benefiting from this. And it's a good investment. So again, things are happening. And the boom and the zoom that we want to see for the people will take some time. It will take a lot of time. Given the time that we have now, 3 years, not enough to show development. So these are things that are happening. I'm sure they will move ministries out of Georgetown, give Georgetown some breathing space. All these are things we expect to happen later on.
I know. I'm asked a question in the context of President Ali. I think you were very high in praise for him, which I think he deserved, because in my view, and my limited knowledge, I think he's the only president that we have seen so far who has really walked the length and breadth of Guyana that he's doing. Every nook and cranny he's there, which is really what the people want to see. But my question to you is, the young people, are they following, like say they're giving their edge to him to continue, or are they not so certain?
No, you know what? Most of the youngsters that I've spoken to, and that will be a lot, because I went to Blackbush just yesterday. I came back from Blackbush. Now, you may want to say Blackbush is a PPP stronghold, but some of the youngsters, and again, people from all corners of Guyana were there. Georgetown, Amsterdam, because this is Dr. Ganesh's in-laws anniversary. And I spoke to at least 3 people in a little group. I said, what do you guys think about what's happening? Man, a lot is happening, man. But we need better roads in Blackbush. So that was the first thing. But I did not ask, and I would not do that to youngsters yet anyways, who you're going to vote.
Okay.
But you get a feel from them by having a simple conversation that they like what is going on. And so if they have a choice, and they do, time, as long as nothing drastic happens before now in 2025 election, their choice.
In your view, you think the racial voting is subsiding, especially young people?
You know what? I don't want to say yes to that question, but I will tell you, a lot of people, a lot of PNC people, and I'm saying PNC, not necessarily APNU, but a lot of PNC people that I know are diehard PNC have already moved over and indicated to me that they don't mind joining the PPP.
Okay.
Now, I will only say this. Joining the PPP, yes. Maybe for your own benefit, yes or no. When it comes to putting the X, nobody knows where you put the X.
It's a different story then.
So that will remain a mystery until such time.
Let's get back to your foreign posting. The headquarters is in Delhi, right? Is it in Delhi?
Yes. 163 missions are in Delhi.
Have you visited? Were you able to visit other states to promote Guyana when you were there?
You know what? We were taking. I went to Bangalore, the IT capital. A gentleman invited me there, and I was excited. He picked me up. His driver picked me with a Rolls Royce. Never did I sit in one of those vehicles. But he took me there, and again he was talking about investing. Then there's another group that do. This group does windows and doors with aluminum frames and glass. And they were looking also at coming to invest in Guyana, perhaps to sell their doors and glass because of the construction going on, or to set up a factory. So that is still in the air pretty much. So, but we were taken by the Ministry of External Affairs in India to a few of the states. One of them was where Prime Minister Modi is from, Gujarat. We went there to see the Garba dance during Navrat, a religious occasion. But yes, we've been taken to different states. But on my own, I had business people. A gentleman related to his Nawab, some things related to one of the late princes of Hyderabad. He invited me to attend a meeting there to speak to business people also. So as much as I could have done, given the meeting that you had to attend, we were 163 missions. They will all invite you to their national day and some other celebration, and you get government will invite you to. So when you're done, every week you have 3 or 4 functions to attend. As High Commissioner, it was one of those things.
Yeah, as you said, have met a lot of other diplomats from other countries. Are you still in contact with some of them?
Quite a few. We did something in India that Minister Lekhi, the Minister of External Affairs, particularly for culture, Fiji, Mauritius, Trinidad, Suriname, and Guyana did a celebration of Diwali in 2021. 2021 Diwali, October. The 5 of us came together and did a grand celebration, and we highlighted what we did in our country, how we celebrate Diwali. And it was not just a shocker, it was pleasantly accepted by the thousands who were there, literally thousands. So
that's very interesting. Oh, sorry, go on. Sorry. That's very interesting. How different, just a side kick here, how different is the celebration? Is it in like Fiji and in Mauritius compared to Guyana and so on?
I'll tell you, Guyana takes the cake even if it comes to India. Our Diwali motorcade has grown in size and quality, and that by itself is a remarkable presentation of Diwali, because you have little children and adults also dressed up as deities representing Hindu deities and presenting a beautiful picture. And that, when they saw it in Guyana, Fiji, Mauritius, Trinidad, Suriname, the 5 countries, I just referred to them as the 5 countries, we all benefited from the indentureship. Indians came to these countries through the indentureship. And now you know that they have this program called the KIP program, KIP, No India program, where students from Guyana of Indian origin are invited and sent to India. Indian government is paying for them to know India. They get a chance to tour all of India. We as diplomats, Trinidad and the various countries who had diplomats going from all across the world, Israel, Indians from Israel would come in, and let me tell you all over the world, we get a chance to speak to this gathering also. So you share some history with students who are there. And I met quite a few of our groups. I met, I think, 3 groups that went during my time. Groups of 5 and 6 students.
I know the optics will not be right now for you to be reappointed to ambassador to India. So, but if the government were supposed to win the next election, and they say, Mr. Charrandas, I would like you to go back to India. I know you made a terrible mistake, but what you have done for the 2 years you were there, it was great. Would you accept that?
You know what? I will say no very nicely, not meaning to be rude to a possible appointment, but I have given up on India because I honestly couldn't handle the food.
The food?
I couldn't eat it.
Okay, I know.
I had upset stomach on a number of days.
You not your own cook?
No, that I asked for, but the ministry in no uncertain terms told me that they're not prepared to give me. I didn't need a cook for any other reason except that you would have good food, Guyanese food. Our food is so different. Anything from India is too oily.
And spicy.
I eat it more than once if you go to these Indian restaurants, in the Patag, Indian restaurants here, but I couldn't handle it. I really could not. And I couldn't get a cook. I asked for a service passport to be given to somebody. I would pay the airfare. I took a girl to India, and this is unfortunate. A matured woman, she was 50-something years old from the village, to cook for me. She's a very good cook. But I got COVID when Minister Todd went. After he left, I got COVID the same week. And the cook also got COVID. And unfortunately for her and for myself, her visa had expired during that same week. and we couldn't renew it because we couldn't go anywhere. I was down for 17 days with COVID. And then after I realized the visa had expired, the FRO said they would not renew it or extend it. So I booked a flight, paid an airfare for her to come back to Guyana, only to find that the airline will not take her unless she gets an exit visa from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. I had to pay a fine or a penalty of $700 US for housing an illegal immigrant in India. And there was no waiver of the penalty. I paid that and sent her back to Guyana.
But Ambassador, are they not Indians from Guyana living in India? I mean, I thought we had a.
No, at that time we only had one.
That's it.
One. And he was a guy from Amsterdam. Now he got married recently. He came back, graduated. He was the only one at that time.
So there were more students than Guyanese living there permanently.
No, all the students left, because of COVID. The universities and colleges were closed.
Okay. All right. We got less than 10 minutes. Dr. Rose, over to you.
Yes. For the short stint you had in India, what would you say of their work ethics and the culture? How does that differ from Guyanese work ethics and culture? Briefly.
Oh, Lord, very, 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 very different. Quick example. You go into any office, any store in India, the first thing they do is they offer you a glass of water or a cup of tea. I went to natural resources, with my good friend, Minister Vikram Bharat, with the Indian team that came to look at the gold refinery. And we were sitting there for over half an hour waiting, and not a glass of anything was offered to us. And I apologize to these men because that is not something they're accustomed to. So that service, you go into a store to buy, they offer you a seat and they offer you a cup of tea. We don't do that in Guyana. I hope that the ministry, some officials are listening and they want to do that now. But it's a good thing to do. And service-wise, you go to a restaurant, we need, if I was at the Marriott the other day, y'all want anything else? Really? At the Marriott? Hospitality training is so desperately needed in this country. And we're not talking the ordinary restaurant, I'm talking about the Marriott. When you go to a restaurant in India, good evening, sir, how are you? Here's the menu. Please, my name is so-and-so, I will be serving your table. When they serve you whatever you order, they come back during the course of the meal. How is the meal, sir? Is there anything that you would like to have? And they're always, sir, madam, and yes, sir, no, sir. You don't get that in the Marriott. We don't. We're not talking Princess worse. So that type of, and when you go in, mind you, as High Commissioner, you are treated with utmost respect. I went to Gujarat, I went to Bangalore, police would escort from the airport to the hotel. When we went for meditation,
Your mute is back on, Ambassador. Your mute is on again.
You're muted.
You're muted. Yeah.
are we good again?
Yes.
Oh, it's a flat of the computer. See, man, I went to school and couldn't use a calculator. I don't know if it works. Yes, sorry. Question?
Okay, my next question to you. Seeing that you're in India for what? How long? About a year and a half? 2 years? And you are the High Commissioner there. What advice you will give to the government on the appointment of another High Commissioner, what they should look for, and in what areas you think the next ambassador, High Commissioner, or whatever, could strengthen India-Guyana relationship even better?
Oh, wow. I mean, I can suggest a few things, but Sis would have been, or would be, I still think he should go. Sis would be a good High Commissioner because of his experience. in the political arena. And he also would know what India can do for Guyana. When I say what India can do, whether as a government or private individuals, business people, and other investors who want to come to Guyana. So that is the area that they need to look at. Because if you want medical expertise, I was introduced to a group of people in Bangalore, and they suggested that they can do an INA, that you can do housing, for example, to digitalize housing and put everything on the computer rather than having piles and piles of paper. If you call now and ask for your application 3 months ago, they might not be able to find it. But you need to have all that. So there are companies that will do all of that. So those are areas that you need to explore now and have it solidified, because you can get it cheaper and better than Indians can do. That's one area. And then again, India consumes 5 million barrels of oil per day. Now, that may sound ridiculously high, but that is the reality. So if we are getting a million total Exxon Guyana's share, a million barrels, we are not even 1/5 of what India needs, or barely 1/5 of what India needs. And they're willing to buy all. So again, another area would be oil, gas, refinery, fertilizer. You know, these are areas. India will buy all the fertilizer we can produce. Bangladesh said they will take 500,000 tons of fertilizer. All these are areas that we talked about before I came back. So the new High Commissioner now needs to go there, not because he's a political appointee, not because he's a career diplomat, but somebody who knows what Guyana needs and how India, and when I say it again, I don't mean just the Indian government, how India, the people in India, investors in India, business people can facilitate certain areas in Guyana. And that is something that I would suggest they must look at seriously before they appoint anybody.
I want you to do a competitive trilogy analysis here. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate this government? How would you rate the opposition, APNU, and the AFC?
On a scale of 1 to 10, AFC is minus. I will give this present government, because of certain setbacks that I am looking at, a clean 7.
Okay.
And if I'm to rate the APNU people now, I don't know, honestly, I don't know all the members. Some very prominent members have been removed from Parliament. And so that again, I'm looking at with some curious questions, which I can't have answers to now. But I will simply say that with this leadership, are put at a level maybe if they reach 3, they're lucky.
What is that? I didn't hear it.
If the APNU, with the leadership that they have now, with Norton as leader, if they get 3, they'll get plenty as a rating.
And before I turn it back to my colleague, how would you rate President Ali's leadership?
I might be biased there because I grew to love this individual on the 30th of December 2015. And I'll tell you why. I lost a sister on that day. I was in Parliament. And when I got the text message from my brother-in-law, he said, "Sorry, bro, you lost a sister. Savi died." Savitri sang when Granger, Amna Ali, and Nagamutu sat at a meeting in Canada, sang to entertain them. And it is the same Savitri Persaud, my sister, who died on the 30th of December when I was in Parliament. I walked, tears were flowing down my eyes because that was a shock. She was just 37 years old. One of the best singers that came out of Guyana. And when she died, I couldn't control myself. I sat on the floor of Parliament. Nobody except then Irfan Ali came out. Mr. Chawan, what happened? I handed him my phone. He read the message and he made a call. He said, you have another number, you're not answering this phone. I gave him another number for next sister who answered and said, yes, Savitri died. I'll tell you what he did then. Irfan Ali, as he was then, today he's president. He said, Charan, go home. Call your driver. I'll talk to Amna and I'll explain. And he my like a child and walked me to the stairs. My brother-in-law was driving, came and he took me out and took me home. When I reached about Maikoni, between Maikoni and Maikoni, I got a call. This was about 9 o'clock at night. Sir, are you Charrandas? Yes, I am. Mr. Ali said I should take a flight to go to Canada in the morning. I said, really? I need the correct spelling of your name and your passport number. I did not have my passport. I told her I'll give it to her when I get home. That Irfan did. At that time, he was Irfan Ali. Opposition, 30th of December 2015. We had just got to Parliament a few months later. And we were still not friends. But he did that for me. Up to today, Nagamutu, Granger, and Amna Ali, who were all there, never offered condolences at the passing of my sister, who sang for them. Irfan did more than that. And that, to me, removed any kind of ill feeling I may have had with him while we were campaigning. From that moment, he became a friend. And up to today, I say he's still a friend.
So your rating?
My rating? Oh, that's what I'm saying. I might be one-sided here because of that particular incident that bonded us together. We were at an exchange between the two of us as politicians, not friendly. But after that, we became friends. As president, I will give a decent 8 right now. While the government altogether may have a 7, I'll give him 8 as president.
Okay, Charles.
Mr. Ambassador, time is running out on us, has run out on us. We want to thank you so much for being on the program with us tonight. You were very forthright in your answers to the question, and it's the Guyanese public. I've seen some of the comments, and of course, you know, some people will be against you because of what you did, and of course, some will always love you. Is there anything you want to say in closing, Mr. Ambassador?
You know what? I will like to address the gathering generally. What I did in Parliament was not to put the PPP in power. Mind you, they're the immediate beneficiaries of that particular vote. But what I did was to remove the AFC after what they did to the cane cutters. That was my primary reason for voting against the government in that no confidence vote. My primary reason. So understand me, my friends out there, friends or associates or just people who know me. I was not contacted by Bharat Jagdeo. On contrary, that's where Ramjatan was sued and he was found guilty of slandering my name. He said that I accepted a bribe and I don't know where the money is because I don't know who gave it to me. And he was fined, asked to pay me $7 million. Many people may know that. He's appealing that and I'll get more money from him. But I would like to say that I did not get into the political arena to show off or to fight with anybody. I got into there believing that I could serve the people. And having made promises, I thought I was going to be able to do something for the people. And I became very helpless and a yes man, subject to what Nagamutu wanted or Nagamutu wanted. And that did not sit well with me. That was my reason. That was my reason for voting against the government. Now, some may ask, I could have quit. Had I quit, they would have replaced me and continued doing the same thing. I simply wanted to stop them from doing what they were doing. And so I stayed there quietly, taking the torture, and then waited till the time was right. So again, I do not apologize for having done that. That was done after carefully sorting out thoughts and actions. And I did what I did. because I want AFC from.
And like you, Mr. Ambassador, I think many of the people who supported AFC, including myself, we were very, very disappointed with performance in government, and they became an embarrassment. We told Mr. Ramchitan that, but of course he didn't think that, our comment matters. But as you said, the next 2025, if they go separate, we'll know exactly what they have, what support they have on the people of Guyana. So again,
they're not getting
thank
a
you.
seat.
Thank you so much for being on the program tonight. Dr. Rose, anything in closing?
Yes, I want to say that His Excellency, Mr. Charrandas, you cleared the air, because I must say, Vice President Jagdeo came out and said he was surprised when Charrandas voted no. And I guess people didn't believe him, but now that you have cleared the air, then people have to accept him and believe what he said.
No,
now,
he voted yes, Dr. Rose.
Pardon me?
He voted yes.
But supported the government. That's what I'm saying. Support the opposition.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Well, the first yes, well, apparently wasn't heard too well, so I gave them 3 more.
Okay. Now I will go back and call for the retirement age to be increased from 55 to 62. I've seen today that the government has extended the Commissioner of Police tenure in office. How long, I don't know, but he has reached 55. And at that age, it's too early to go off at 55. They can work until 65.
I would support that strongly. At 55, the police will have had a lot of experience. Give him another 5 or 10 more
and
years.
all public servants and everybody else.
Yes.
And they leave and go and give their expertise to other countries. I will also call for, as my colleague says, an increase in salaries for all public servants. Charles said $200,000. I'll go with that now because of cost of living and so forth. I'll also call for better internet services.
That would satisfy me also, because as I mentioned earlier, how does the ordinary man benefit? We do not have an increase in salary to the extent that we can cope with the inflated costs.
But I was made to understand the government is working a package for them. I also call for the improvement in the internet system we have in Guyana. It is very, very lousy. And last but not least, I want to see all public servants, please treat the people as they should be treated. You are their servants. I've been to many departments and many places, and they're treating people, nurses, as if they are the bosses. I tell you, sit down, you sit, go and stand in. They're not treating people with respect at all, and I think that is wrong. They are the servants of the people, not the bosses. That's what I have to say.
But Dr. Rose, that also needs some reciprocity, because the people in Guyana also behave miserably sometimes. So I'm not defending what they're doing, but
they to talk to people, and they will listen to you.
Okay. Anyway, thank you so much again, Ambassador. Thank you, Dr. Rose. Thank you, our audience. Thank you, Nuhar Singh, and to Ryan. Until the next time, God bless our great country, Guyana.
And I thank the people who have stayed with the program. I hope that, somewhere down the line we have benefited from it, or at least have picked up something. Dr. Rose, thank you very much. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you. Thank you.